Okay, let's see what do you have.
Can you see?
Uh, yeah.
I made it in this part, first part of create method in reaction controller. Uh, I'm trying to check is our new reaction are with the same user ID exists the same type in previous reactions.
Mhm. Okay, so if it's the same user ID, but you are checking if it's the same user, same reaction, but where are you checking if it's the same watch list? So you as a user, what you did here, you are saying if a user has a like anywhere. You are not saying if
Yeah,
the user liked or disliked this watch list, right?
yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so you need to make sure it's the same user, same reaction, and
Another
same watch list.
is enough. Another and
Yeah, you need another and. Yeah, r dot, yeah, reaction dot watch list. Okay, so that's when you call change reaction.
yeah. Then we'll change reaction.
Okay, so actually, if the user clicked the same thing, we just remove the reaction.
Let's
We
remove.
don't change. Yeah, we need to call or we need
Okay.
to do a remove. Yeah, if
Okay.
it's the same.
I wasn't sure if it's the.
Yeah, the reactions dot remove.
If that's fine.
Yeah, but you need to be careful. Like in a for each, okay.
Okay.
In a for each, you can't um, like. Can you change the collection you are working on in a for each? Yeah, that's something. That's something we looked at maybe in the very first course. So if you have a collection, you are doing a for each among the collection. Okay. So you need to be careful not to change this collection inside for each. Okay. So you may have a problem here. Of course, there are many ways to do it. You can use other types of loops, or you can find it there, then remove it.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to find it, to assign some variable, then remove it for each. Is that fine?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
do that, or we can use a for. Yeah. But now we have another case. Now, what if you found the same user, same watch list, okay, but different reaction? So, for example, the user had, for example, um, liked the watch list number one, and now he wants now to dislike watch list number one.
To,
So that's when
to add,
that's when you need that's when you call change type of reaction.
uh,
That's when you make it now you that's when you update it. So same condition. Can you
okay.
take the same condition? The same if, yeah, can copy the same thing. Okay. Now, instead of r dot reaction dot type equals just equals not reaction dot, so just equals the opposite or not
It's
equals.
not equal.
Yeah, not equals
Okay.
should be fine. Okay. So what
Yeah.
does that mean? That means the same users, the same list, but he had a previous reaction before, and that's when
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
that's when you change the reaction.
This way.
Okay. Yeah. And now else, the else now you can add it. But else shouldn't be inside the for each. Now you are adding for each. Now what are you doing now? Now for each reaction you are adding a new one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's the thing. The addition should be outside the for each.
Uh, okay, but I'm not sure addition if it doesn't have any of these conditions,
Right. So you need to
right?
have a condition inside, or you need to return once you do this change, you need to return. Like inside the if and inside the else if you need to return. So you don't so you just end. So you can have a return redirect to action inside the if and inside the else if. So here
Return
after you finish, you can make redirect. Return redirect to action.
like this one.
Yeah, the same line. Yeah, copy it the same line. Yeah. Here as well. That what does that mean? That means you found it, you go. You don't continue the for each, you don't continue anything. Okay. Now, if the for each is done and you didn't find this or this, what should you do now?
Add a new reaction.
Yeah, you need to add it to the db.reactions.add.
Uh, and
db.reactions.
yeah.
Okay. So what are we doing here? We are checking to see if we have previous reactions from the same user on the same watch list. Okay, same user, same watch list. If you found that, okay, that means I need either to change it or delete it. Okay, otherwise I will add this reaction. Okay, just imagine the like dislike at YouTube and see how they work. We are doing the same thing. Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Minnie. So, any other solution? Like we have more than enough time for that. Uh, so no one tried. Like we don't want correct solutions. Just see what do you have. Um, Yushin, did you try? Okay, it's fine. Let's see what you have. Then you can test it later. Okay. Served function. Okay. but we don't want to we don't want the create to work if we have like a previous one. That's why we were that's why we were trying to intercept the code in create, okay, and try to make it there. Yeah. Yeah, so it's the same idea. Yeah, so we prefer if it's written in create, okay, so we can um, intercept the creation, so we don't end up with multiple ones for the same one. Or if people are trying to change their mind, okay, this will also work in create. Okay, so but let's see what are the conditions. So if it's same user, same watch list, okay, so here if it's the same, you are removing, okay, else you are changing it. Okay, so this looks fine, okay, except for the last else. I think here you need to make it opposite because you are saying change attitude and it's the same. So result dot attitude one equals not, I guess, like the opposite one. Ah, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So this is else if not if they are not equal. Okay, okay. So that's fine. Yeah, it's just that we need this code in create and it should be totally correct. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Yushin. Okay, so that's the main idea. Okay. Please try if you didn't do so yet, and then if and then test it, of course, and make sure it's working well. Okay. If you are facing any troubles, then we can work on it together. Okay, so let's move to our main topic here. So we said we want to talk about interfaces. So far you've seen interfaces here and there. Okay, interfaces are mainly a contract about or a definition about of related functionalities, okay, related functions that a class must implement. Okay, so for example, let's imagine we are talking about the shape interface. Okay, so I want to create eye shape. So I will say, okay, each shape I have, okay, will or should, okay, should have for sure a function called get area and a function called, for example, draw. So if I want them for sure to have those, okay, and they are already inheriting from a class, so I can't make them. I'm not sure if you remember when we talked about inheritance, we said you can't inherit from more than one class, right? So imagine that you are already inheriting from a class and you are still in a need for other functionalities, okay, that every class in your group, okay, should implement. This is one case where we can use interfaces. So one way to like bypass the condition of not of sorry of not being able to have multiple inheritance is by using interfaces. It's also important when you have a, something like a contract, okay, or or a set of functions that you want every class to have. So, for example, let's write one and let's see the conditions of um, interfaces here. So in the models, right click, add interface. Let's call it, for example, I automobile. Okay. So we are trying to create an interface for automobiles. Okay, automobiles like something like a car, something like a motorbike. Okay. So what are the set of functions that you need for sure to have in every automobile? So we can have something like void start engine. Okay. That's, for example, start engine. Like any automobile you have will have a start engine for sure. Now
Um,
it could be, sorry.
where do you right click to add the interface? When I right click my models folder, I don't see the option.
Yeah, so right click, add interface. If you don't have, just choose new item. Okay. And in the code, should you have,
I
you
see it
should,
there now. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
not in the bar. I have to go into here. Thanks.
Maybe different versions or something. Okay, but you should be able to have it here. Eventually, just a class. So even if you created a class, you can change it to an interface.
Okay, yeah, I have it now. Thanks.
Okay. So for sure, you know that every automobile should, okay, should focus on the word should, okay, have a start engine function. We can also have stop engine. We can have also honk, okay, just to sound the horn, peep peep, okay. Uh, so those are, for example, a set of functions that we have. We can have also int get mileage. This will give you the mileage, like how many kilometers this machine or this car or this motorbike have made so far. Okay, so the first thing you notice here that you don't have access modifiers. Like you can't write public or private or protected. So everything in an interface is public by default. Okay, because it should be accessible by all classes implementing this interface and by other classes too. Okay, so the interface, everything in it is public by default and it's also static by default. Okay, so you can't have the word static. Okay, the word static is not allowed. Please use. Okay, and you can't have the word public. Okay, yeah, well, you don't need any type. Okay, so the default one is that everything is public. That's the default for interfaces. Okay, so that's the default one. um, yeah, same as Java. Okay, so now let's create a few classes, okay, that will use this interface. So let's go to first one, class car. Okay, so I would say that this class is implementing I automobile. Okay, now you will keep getting an error until you write a body for all of those functions until you implement all of those functions. You will notice that you can't write a body in this function here. Like inside the interface, you can't write code for functions. You can just specify their signature, okay? Like their names and what do they return and what is the input. Okay, that's fine. But you can't write code in here, okay? You can't write any code. Okay, that's the rule of interface. Interface is just to define, okay, the functions that you want all the other classes to have. Okay, now this function, this class will keep complaining that, hey, you are implementing iAutomobile, but I don't see the functions of iAutomobile here. Okay, so by contract, okay, since interfaces are contracts, okay, by contract, interfaces should like mandatory have all the functions in the interface. And that's how, like, after maybe you finish writing your code, when you access your car object, okay, imagine you access your car object, okay, when you access your car object, you know for sure that car has a function called what? Start engine. Like, for sure there is this function. Why? Because car is part of iAutomobile. And that's how you can call, okay, your function on car, knowing for sure that it's there. So here in Visual Studio, you can fix the problem by implement interface. And you will notice that it wrote some code for all the functions in the interface. Now, all of them are just strong exceptions. So here, like, you have to return, here. So we can return, sorry, any random number. Uh, yeah, so I'm using the Unity 3D code. Oh, next, yeah. Okay, here, like, you can like debug or console.writeline or do whatever you want. Uh,
Mohammed,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How did you make all those honk and start engine, stop engines appear like with a click of a button? I remember you were clicking an iAutomobile.
Yeah. Just a second. Okay,
Okay.
so here, once you stop at the error, like for example, imagine this one isn't here. So now your
Yeah.
code will complain.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to click on this hint
Oh,
and
okay. Implement.
implement interface.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Or usually it appears here at at the side. Okay. It's just like a quick way, but it won't write any meaningful code for you. It will just fill it with exceptions and stuff.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So now for you know that car is implementing iAutomobile. Okay. And for example, now you can have class motorbike or motorcycle or whatever. It's also from automobile. Okay. And also you need all the functions here. Like it doesn't matter what is the code in them, but they should be here because that's what an interface guarantees for us. Okay. You can write similar codes or whatever you want. Okay. So now when it comes to the benefits of interfaces, now lots of them are stuff that we won't be able to see now, okay? Because they have to do with testing, with dependency injection, with a little bit of advanced things. But imagine that now I want to now, for example, I have a function, okay, that deals with automobiles. Okay. So for example, I have a function that will print the mileage or start the engine or whatever. So in that function, okay, you can pass motorbikes, okay, you can pass cars, okay. But what if you passed something like iAutomobile object? So let's, for example, let's have in the home controller, okay, here, for example, so now, for example, you can pass cars, you can pass, so you can write one for cars, you can write one for um, motorbikes or airplanes. So maybe you will need multiple ones, but what if you passed an object of iAutomobile? So it doesn't matter if the object is a car or a motorbike or whatever. Okay, once you pass one of this interface, an object from this interface, okay, now you guarantee that if it's a car, fine. If it's a motorbike, fine. I will have something called get mileage, and you know for sure what's wrong here. Okay, the interface needs to be public. Okay, so you know for sure that if it's a car, then someone wrote a code for it, okay, and it will return the mileage for you. If it's a motorbike, it will also return the mileage for you because someone for sure wrote the code for it. And now you don't care what is the actual implementation, what is the actual thing that is being used. You know for sure that it's something from iAutomobile. Okay, so now you can pass, for example, a list of those things. Okay, a list of iAutomobiles, you can pass it everywhere, and you can work with all the functions that are in iAutomobile, and you have the peace of mind that for sure someone wrote the code for it. Okay, that's why we call it a contract. So by contract, the functions are there, and you are not really worried like to first write a version for each one of the different types of cars, write a function for each type, and or maybe you are not even concerned what is the type. You just want to get the mileage for this thing that you have. Okay, so imagine you have like a dealership website, okay, where people work with all different kinds of automobiles, boats, maybe cars, motorcycles. So at, at some point, for example, on each description of each automobile you have, people will see the mileage. So all what you need to do is call automobile.getMileage. And then it will translate to the actual thing. So automobile.getMileage, if it's a car, if you pass a car here, okay, it will go and call the code in the car, this one. If you pass a motorcycle, it will go and call the code in the motorcycle. Okay, it will call the correct code, correct version for you. Okay, and you don't need to worry about the specific types. Okay, of course, this is just the first benefit of interfaces, but it's actually around us all the time. So let's
I
see
have an error, Mohammed.
you have an error. Make sure to make the interface public.
Oh yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let's go to the code that was generated for us. Okay. Notice, for example, we are in the movies, in the movie class. Okay, that was generated for us. Okay, so we had in the movie, we had ratings, right? We have ratings for movies. Notice what is the type of ratings? So the type of rating is iCollection. Okay, so iCollection is an interface. It's part of .NET framework. Okay, um, it's an interface that represents, okay, a set of functions for collections. So collection is like what? Like hash set is a collection, list is a collection. Okay, so all of those are the family of what? Of iCollection. So you can define your main type of some variable as the interface, and then when you want to make the new, so you can say iCollection equals new, then here you can choose any type from iCollection. So you can use new hash set, you can use new list. Okay, so another benefit for interfaces is that you can define the main type first, and then when it's time to create the actual object with the new, okay, now you have so many different choices. You are not like required to use only list or only hash set. Now, if this one is from type, for example, list, okay, list is a collection, but now you can't create list and then say, oh, it's a hash set later, okay, because you said it's list. Okay, now if you made it iCollection, now you have the option to use anything that implements iCollection in the future, including hash sets, lists, dictionaries, maybe, okay, anything. Okay. Dictionaries here will be harder because you don't have key and value. Okay, but something like anything like a list or hash set. Okay, so let's go to iCollection. So you will notice that iCollection is an interface. It also inherits from other interfaces. So you can inherit from other interfaces. Okay, so you can say or and what are the things that are inside iCollection. So if you have something that implements iCollection, then for sure you have a function called add clear contains. Do you remember most of the things that we worked with? They have add, hasset.add, list.add. So why do they have this add function? All of them, because all of them inherit or implement the iCollection interface. Okay, all of them. Okay, other thing is an interface can implement another interface. Let's go to IEnumerable. So IEnumerable, I'm pretty sure you recognize this name, is the name that usually is returned from link queries. So when you are making link queries, usually the return type is what? Is IEnumerable. That's why you can convert almost everything in link to what? To a list or to like a hash set. That's why at the end you can say, hey, I don't want IEnumerable, I want an actual list. So convert it to a list for me. Why it's easy to create from IEnumerable to list? Because list is from the family of IEnumerable. Okay, list inherits from iCollection, and iCollection inherits or implements IEnumerable. So passing variables around and returning results is extremely convenient to do with interfaces. So notice link functions, for example. Let's go to some link function here. Okay, so instead of to list, okay, notice for example, actor.movie actors.select. Okay, this is a link function. What is the return type of this link function? It's returning an IEnumerable. Okay, so you will notice when we start write professional code, we will always prefer to take an interface, for example, as a parameter, return an interface as a parameter. This will make it extremely easy to test. Why? Because tomorrow, okay, when we want to test, we don't want to test against the database all the time. Okay, why? Because like maybe you are doing thousands of tests every week, maybe. Okay, so you don't want to keep testing on your database, and it's probably a shared database with other people, and it will take time, right? So you don't want a real database to test like simple stuff. You want a fake database, okay? And that's why that's when interfaces they come they come up very handy. I can write a fake database class, and using interfaces in real time, I can make the database real. In testing time, I can make the database fake. Why? Because all the time I'm using interfaces. So see this IEnumerable. Imagine the class list is the real database, and the class hash set is the fake database. Okay. So when I am working with my real code, the one that I want to publish, I can say dot to list. Okay. Why it's acceptable? Because this result is IEnumerable. So anything that is IEnumerable is fine. Okay. That's why I can use to list. Now imagine this is like the real or the code that I want to publish. Now imagine I am at the testing phase, okay, and I want to use something fake, like a fake database or a fake repository or something, okay, just to make my tests quicker and cleaner. That's when I'm using IEnumerable, so maybe I can create a fake database that it's also implementing IEnumerable, and my code will remain the same. Your code works with an interface. Your code works with IEnumerable, right? So your code doesn't care if tomorrow you will use list or hash set or dictionary, right? Your code works with this umbrella, with the main interface. It doesn't care if it will work with lists or assets or whatever. It's ready to work for with all. So it's ready to work with a real database, with a fake one, with everything. Of course, this is going to be dedicated course tomorrow, but it's hard to see the benefits of interfaces from the beginning. Okay, it's mostly good for testing purposes, for defining contracts. Okay, and when we talk about design patterns, we will also be able to see more benefits of interfaces. Okay, so what do we care now is mostly what are the rules of interfaces, okay, and what are the differences between classes and interfaces. This is a very common question in interviews. So when you go to a coding interview, they will they ask a lot about interfaces, and first question they will ask you is what's the difference between an interface and an abstract class. Okay, abstract classes are something between classes and interfaces, somehow in the middle. Okay, we will study abstract classes soon, and we will be able to see the differences between abstract classes and interfaces. Okay, they will ask you, okay, what's the default access modifier? What can you write code inside an interface? Okay, how many interfaces can you implement? So there's no limit to how many interfaces you can implement. Okay, you can implement as many interfaces as you want, but you can only inherit from one class. So this is extremely important when it comes to interfaces and classes and the differences between them. So for now, let's focus on the technical part of interfaces. It's just an introduction. Keep in mind that most LINQ functions will return the interface itself, IEnumerable. That's why they are good to work with everything that's IEnumerable and iCollection. Okay. And you can pass an interface as a parameter of a function. Okay. And this way, you don't care if someone is using this function for a car, for a motorcycle, for a boat. You made it work with all the interface. So you write it once and your code will adapt to whatever actual class you use. Yeah, abstract classes, they don't, if the function is not abstract. So abstract classes, they give you the option. If the function is normal, you don't need to implement it. If the function is abstract inside abstract classes, you have to implement it for sure. We will talk more about abstract classes, but there are main differences between interfaces and abstract classes. Keep this as a note. It's extremely famous interview question. What are the differences between interfaces and abstract classes? Okay. To see like another example, let's create a console application. It will be easier to work with. So open another Visual Studio and let's create a console application. Okay, console app .NET framework. Yeah, sorry, there is just a small issue. Okay, yeah, I will work with that later, but so it's something related to internships and all the hassle that comes with them. Okay, so this is our program. Okay, so let's create a sample interface for this purpose. So we can create the same one we have, or let's create something like called iVehicle. Okay, so in iVehicle, for example, you can have something like the ones that we had. So start engine. Okay. Okay. So those are the functions that I have in my interface. Okay. And here I can implement the classes. So our first one is a car. Okay. You will notice that it's complaining about not having all the functions around. So let's implement it. Okay. Here you can have just okay, any numbers should be fine. Here we can have it right away. Okay, starting the car engine, and here okay. Now let's create another one. Say airplane. Okay, and let's implement all the functions. Okay, I just want a simple solution to send it to you. I don't want it to be a part of a big website. So now you can just have something for interfaces as a small application. Okay, so now I have uh, the iVehicle, I have the cars, okay, and I have airplanes. Both of them are iVehicles, okay? So here, for example, now I can start working with them. So I can create something like iVehicle, okay, let's call it V1 equals new. Of course, here you can't say equals new iVehicle because you can't create an object from an interface. Okay, the object, the actual object should be part of one of the classes that implement that interface. So here it can be either new car or new airplane. So it can be new car. Okay, you can create another one. Vehicle number 2 is an airplane. Okay, so anything that moves or transports you. You can call it transportation. I guess that would be better. Okay, now for example you can say v1 dot, you know, although it's an iVehicle, okay, but you will have access to those functions. iVehicle dot start engine. Okay, so let's try this one out. you will notice that v1 called the code that's in the car. Start engine, sorry, this one, starting the car engine. Okay, and it wrote it here. Okay. v2 dot get mileage or stop engine. Okay. We can have something like a function to get the mileage of a set of vehicles. So here, for example, I can have something like public static void it takes a list of iVehicle, takes a list of vehicles. Okay, so here I can set a set of vehicles regardless of what are, like, I don't care if they are cars, if they are airplanes. I send a list of an interface. And now for each one, for each var in for each vehicle in those vehicles, the one I sent, okay, now I can call what the vehicle dot get mileage, regardless of what is the actual vehicle type. Is it a car? Is it a bike or whatever? So we can create a list of iVehicles and I can put v1 and v2.
Is there a reason that you're using a list instead of iCollection?
No, you can use
It's
iCollection.
both ways fine. Okay.
Yeah, well, iCollection is actually better because now if the person who is sending you the vehicles, if they have a hash set, they don't need to convert it to a list.
Right.
They can
Okay.
send a hash set. But I didn't want it to look weird. Like, I didn't want you to think if you are using an interface, then you need also an interface. No, that's not mandatory. You can use it with or without an interface. Okay. So this can be an actual collection or iCollection.
Okay.
Okay. And it should remain working. So here I can call display mileage for my set of vehicles. You will notice that although I made it a list, okay, or let's make it this one, iCollection. Okay, so although it's actually a list, but it was accepted as an iCollection because list is an iCollection. And this is like how a professional would write this function, because now if the vehicles are in an array, in a hash set, in a list, it doesn't matter. You are taking iCollection. And if the vehicles are cars or airplanes, it also doesn't matter because your list is supposed to support all vehicles. Okay, here also we can have something like a function that returns iVehicle. Okay, something like create random or I'm not really sure what to return here. So we can create a function that returns an iVehicle create random vehicle. Okay. So if this is like a lottery, so you either win a car or an airplane. Okay. They will do a random and then they will give you an I vehicle. Okay. It's a very weird application, but it's something. Okay, so it's waiting for me to return I vehicle. Okay, so I hear like I want to roll the dice, something like random r equals random. Let's say so we have the next double. It's between 0 0 and 1 0. Okay, so yeah, this is a lottery function, okay, where you can either win a car or an airplane. So they will roll the dice. This double is either more than 0.5 or less than 0.5. Okay, I want just anything to return an I vehicle for you. Anyways, or for example, we can write searching. We can write like something to search for a vehicle. Okay, that takes maybe name or an ID or something, and then the idea is here you don't care again if you are returning any type of iVehicle as long as it implements the interface. Okay, airplanes, cars, bikes, doesn't matter. This function will always return iVehicle. It's something similar to the where function in LINQ. So what is the return type of the where function? It's I enumerable something. Okay, so it's I enumerable. That it doesn't matter what is the type of the return as long as it's I enumerable. Okay, and this is the like the whole introduction we have on interfaces. Okay, just to see how they work, how they look like, some conditions about interfaces, and then we can continue from there. Okay, we will talk more about interfaces when we reach our design patterns and testing courses, and we will see exactly how good they are and how important they are. Okay, so let's go for a 15 minutes break. Okay, I hope that was enough, and I will send you eventually this one. Okay, you will have an example on interfaces that's just interfaces, not with everything else. Okay, any questions? Okay, see you in 15 minutes. Okay, so let's go back to our movie example. Okay, I'll leave this one here so I can send it at the end of the class. So what you want to do now, let's write this question, okay? So we want to create a page to display the most popular movie inside users' watch lists. So what is the movie, okay, that showed up the highest number of times? Like everyone or many people, okay, the highest number, they have this movie inside their watch lists. But I only want to consider the movies that are less than 5 years old. So I want among the recent movies, okay, among all the movies that are made in the recent 5 years, what is the most popular movie inside watch lists? Okay, so let's think about this one. Of course, we don't need to change anything in the database for this one. It's not like yesterday. Okay, here it's just a pure page right away without changes to our design.
Is this one somewhat have to do interfaces?
No, no. Interfaces is just an introduction. So when we talk more about interfaces, when we talk more about them, we will have an idea. It was just a small break. They are a very like a very small topic actually, but they are very
Okay.
important.
Okay.
Okay, please let me know once you are done.
Sorry, Mohammed. Uh, which criteria is the most popular movie? The number of likes, reactions, or
No, no. The
no?
most
Because we
popular
don't.
inside users list. That no, just how many times it showed up inside the watch list.
Uh,
Because
okay.
the like is for the watch list, not for the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, that's why
Okay.
I'm asking.
So popular means it appeared so many times in the watch list. Like everyone has this movie in his watch list.
Oh, okay. It is not a matter of one. It's all user. Okay.
Yeah, all user. Like for example, in the whole website you have 1,000 watch lists. There is a movie is 900.
Okay.
Okay, like it's
Okay.
in everyone's watch list.
Okay. I got it. Thanks.
Okay.
So, are we displaying most popular based on how many times it appears or based on its rating?
No, it's on how many times it appeared inside the watch list.
Okay, so like it's on 10 watch lists compared to 5 watch lists. Okay.
Right. Any results? So what is the relation between movie and watch list? We have that third table, okay, that tells us the relation or where like this movie is in this watch list, right? Okay, but before that, I don't want to apply all of this, okay, on all movies. I want to apply it on a set of movies that are only 5 years old or uh, like later. So what should I do first? Like, do I filter then search, or should I search then filter? Or what are you trying?
Filter first.
Okay, so do you have a code today? Did you write anything?
Uh,
Okay, how do you know the like how do you filter only for 5 years or less?
you select many. Just tried that. This is
Select many. I know.
Like
Do you need
release,
select many here?
release year greater than 2015.
Yeah, but like, what about next year? Are you going to come and change the code? Like we need the code to work always for the recent 5 years.
Just use date time. Yeah.
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 So we
minus
want
time.
we want to make it dynamic, okay, and use it with date time dot now, okay, minus 5 years. Okay. Um. Okay. Anyone tried anything? We can see. Doesn't matter if it's working. We can check it out together. Feel you are bored today for some reason. Okay, let's share. Okay, so first thing Yushin is filtering. So he's applying a where. So where the movie dot year minus sorry date time dot now dot year minus the movie dot year is less than 5 years. Okay, so what is the year of now? So there's something called now in the date time class. This is a very important function or property, let's say. It's called date time dot now. Okay, it tells you the date time of your current second. Okay, so you can take the year from it. So you can say date time dot now dot year. Okay, now it's 2020. Okay, this horrible year. So if you only want the ones, as Jennifer said, from 2015, okay, so the minus between them shouldn't be more than 5 years. So if the year is 2012, then now dot year minus movie dot year will be 8. So I don't want this one. Okay, I want always the equation to be less than 5. Okay, so after I filter, now I start ordering by how many or what is the count of your watch list. Okay, so after the where, you still have movies, but filtered list of movies. Okay, now I order them. Okay, now I need to order by descending. Okay, what the count of how many watch lists this movie showed up in. Okay, and take the first one. Okay, the first one has the highest count. Okay, and that's how you find it. Of course, this one involves ordering. Ordering isn't cheap, it's costly in terms of time and memory and everything. So if you have a very big list of movies, don't just order by like this. You need to find faster ways. But in terms if you are just concerned about something that's working, this is working. Okay? So the whole idea was to filter first, find the set of movies you want to order, then order by and take the first one depending on the highest number of um, watch lists movies. Okay? Mhm. Yeah, so that would be faster for sure. Because you are not concerned about ordering them like, hey, this before this and this. You are just counting and then taking the max. Okay, so once you have the first one, like, what's the problem with this solution? That you are only concerned about the first result, right? But although you are only concerned about the first result, you are ordering everything like from the second to the end. You are putting everyone in place, and eventually you are not using what you ordered. Okay, you only took advantage of the first one, that it's in place. Okay, what about the rest? I don't want to order them, but you spent a lot of time ordering them in place. Now, if you want an ordered list, yeah, that's fine. If you want the first five, the first six, ordering is also fine, but you only want the first one.
Could we take maps?
Yeah, we can use Max for this one. It would be much faster. Okay. Yeah. So the count should equal to the, yeah, you can have the max in a previous line. You don't need to jam everything in. So you can find the max in a previous line. A var max, yeah, equals, yeah, a db dot movies, or you need to filter it first, I guess. Yeah, so here is tricky because you have filtration. Okay, and then the filtered, you are taking the max of the filtered, and then you are finding which one in the filtered has the max. Okay, so this should be faster because now you are only concerned about the max one. You are not putting everyone in order. Putting in order isn't cheap usually. Okay, especially like think about a million movies. Okay, that would, or a million students, that would take maybe like hours if you don't have the correct resources. Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Yushin. Okay, so let's go for a break. After that, we'll continue with our examples. Okay, and yeah, just be ready. I'm not sure